Welcome, everybody. It's Friday night, and we're doing a super early Sony Open preview. We are definitely going to be first on the jump on this. It's your boy, Boston Capper, with Twitterless Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. You can blame the NFL for always scheduling Giants-Eagles at the worst possible weekend. For the last, 5 years, it seems like they have really tried to screw my trip down to Philadelphia to go see them. So
the fact that you keep going to Philadelphia to keep getting your dick kicked in says a lot about why you love to gamble golf, because that's what happens a lot. We get our dicks kicked in week after week after week, and your loyalty as a fan, I really do appreciate that.
Well, for starters, I have family down there, and it's really all about seeing them. They also loved me coming down because I'm their good luck charm. I haven't seen a Giants win in Philadelphia since 2013.
My God.
And it was an ugly game. I think they won 15-9. Matt Barkley made an appearance for the Eagles that game.
My God.
Yeah, it was bad. But afterwards I went to Xfinity Live, and back then I was making $40,000 a year. But to my cousins who were in college, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm making all the big bucks. So I bought all the shots, all the victory shots. And
right.
My other cousin, I think, ended up throwing up my aunt's car on the way back. So
what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
No,
I've grown up a little bit since then. But no, I am going to the Giants game to see them ruin the next 5 years again, because the Eagles aren't playing anybody. And this is just what's going to happen. But it's all about seeing family and spending time with them.
Don't you worry, buddy. Gerard Mayo and the Patriots are somehow going to fuck this up. So if we win, do you get the first pick?
No, I don't think we can actually get the first pick at this point. I think the best we can do is because the Ravens are playing the Browns are playing the Ravens. They're not going to win.
Yeah.
So I think even if the Giants lose and everybody wins, they can pick 2, which is fine. As long as we're top two, whatever. I'm fine with it at this point.
We'll drop to 4. Gerard Mayo is going to figure out a way to somehow win, even though he stepped on his dick again today. Tavai, this special teamer, came out today and was shitting on the fans. And so they were like, he shouldn't be booing. They don't know anything. They don't know how to play. I don't come to their job and boo. One of those type of quotes, right? And Mayo came out and was like, don't worry, I handle it internally. It's going to be fine. Literally after practice, all the press went to him after the locker room. He's like, yeah, I guess I apologize if I offended anybody, but fans should still stay in their lane and stop booing. And I was like, yeah, there you go. There's that tight ship Gerard Mayo's running. But Bob Kraft is still somehow going to keep this fucking asshole on. He's such an arrogant prick. I don't even mean Bob Kraft, but he's also an arrogant prick. But he's a billionaire. Gerard Mayo is an arrogant prick. He was walking around last year right after stabbing Belichick in the back, swinging a baseball bat around the meeting rooms, not listening to anybody, and showing up late for everything, knowing he already had that wording in his contract. And guess what? Hey, Gerard, being a head coach is hard, and he stinks at it. He fucking stinks. I cannot wait to blow this guy out of town. I hope to Christ we do not have him back again. I'll lose my shit, Steve, if he's still here Monday.
Yeah, I think I heard the quote about, they asked Drake May, why doesn't he run more? He's like, I don't know. It's clearly an indictment on the head coach there. I mean, he's got to be the odds-on favorite next year to be first coach fired, right?
Dude, if he makes it to next year, I'm going to lose my shit. If we leave him and Elliot fucking Wolf, the guy who drafted Tyquan Thornton in the second round, how's he doing? Is he
not great.
No, he's out of the fucking league. And there was just Javon Polk. Is he good? He's got 4 catches on the fucking year. The other 4th round receiver we have, the offensive line, he was so cocky about that fucking Patriots offensive line at the beginning of the year when all the beat reporters were like, hey, this line is pretty terrible. He's like, I'm pretty sure we have a great NFL offensive line.
Well, what else is he supposed to say?
Listen, he was cocky about it though.
Okay.
Cocky about it. And the Crafts are cheap, so they're going to bring everybody else back, and it's going to suck. And we're the joke of the NFL, and I fucking hate it.
Well, it's you and me in the gutter right now. So you got one conference on lockdown, I got the other at this point.
That's it.
There you go. So,
what do you think? What do you think about the last 2 days?
Oh, the so-called putting contest where Corey Connors is second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and Decky's first.
Well, I learned a valuable lesson. I think I reminded myself of a valuable lesson of any time you rely heavily on the putting statistic. It might not go all that great.
Mm-mm.
It's the most volatile statistic, other than maybe driving accuracy in all of golf. And it just, I definitely discounted on Thursday how hard the wind was going to blow.
Yeah, definitely. No. It did play. It played hard for most people, not Hoagie.
Hard
But
for
most
like
people.
minus 2.5 hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, today it kind of played exactly how I thought it was going to play. You know, once the wind died down, benign, soft. A lot of my guys on my betting card started to rise at the leaderboard there. I mean, we got Wyndham Clark in the mix, got a couple guys in positionals back in it. Patrick Cantlay got 10 down yesterday and finally got comfortable in the tournament, just like he
Got
always
10 strokes
and
today.
back in.
Unbelievable.
I know. I really do have. I need a sponsor.
I know.
to
I told you.
call
I told you. You texted me that shit
before
earlier today. You're done with him. Done with him. I was like, I've heard this before.
Yeah.
Heard it before. And look, you're already backtracking. 6 hours ago, you texted me this, and you're already backtracking.
Listen, man. I mean, you know, I maybe I just don't have a bigger problem as what everybody says. But the one guy I am, and I'm always afraid to say this because it just seems like every time you quit on a golfer, that's the next week. The next week it's going to hit. But you and I talked about it. I think I'm done with Eric Cole.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yep.
I know he looks great in the models. I know he's a great ball striker. He should be better, but
he's not.
Guy's 36 and he's a shitty driver. Like, what's his real ceiling at this point?
Yeah.
So
I'm not writing him off completely. I might bet him in the Florida swing, but that's it. Only the Florida swing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, positional's fine, but chalky Eric Cole does not seem like a good idea anymore.
No, literally not. I told you I dipped my toe back into DFS this week. It was like 75% Eric Cole. Not worked out. Did not work out. But I should. No. But I should have listened to the guys. By the way, so they had their obviously insider only podcast on Wednesday night where they went over like lineup construction, going over stuff, and they're like, "Hey, you shouldn't rely on the chalky under 7K guys." And I was like, "Well, I still like Eric Cole, so I'm still going to play Eric Cole." I should have listened to the insider only podcast. It was a really good time. It was very, and like I said, it was a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great stream. You got Kobe, you had Kyle, you had Andy chopping it up there. Kobe was big on Cam Young. I loved him. Loved Tom Hoagie as well. Got a little bit of a recoil of horror when he said those two names. But hey, listen, it's worked out pretty well for him so far. So, you know, that's just something, a little taste of what you guys can get if you sign up for Inside Sports Network. Obviously, the Discord was popping a lot the last 2 days. A lot of tilting.
Listen, I just felt great that I'm not the only one who, when something goes bad on hole 2, like, you used to shame me for texting you, like, fuck this guy on hole 2. I look at the Discord, there's 50 guys just like me. I love it.
It really is a nice support group when things go wrong.
It is. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, I've been in golf Discords before. Like, this is just like that on steroids of all of just the negative shit posting of every bad thing that happens.
Literally the best. Like, even if I don't have time, like, I was slammed at work for the last 2 days because I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I'm catching up on everything. But I'm still scrolling whenever I can. I throw a comment in whenever I can. It really it's my happy safe place. I love it. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, there's so many people in that Discord too. Like, seems like everybody's got a little piece of something. So, like, no matter who you're on, somebody else is suffering with you as well.
Yeah,
so
correct.
You have a friend, no matter.
And there's nobody outright trying to mush you either, right? Like, you know, like the outright mush people, they can go get fucked. And if I can figure out a way to get them kicked out of a Discord, if they come in, I'll figure out a way. There's no outright mushing yet, anyway.
Well, we value you as well if you want to come join. So definitely come sign up at Inside Sports Network. You can get all of that. Again, it's the only place to find me. Can't find me on Twitter, but if you want to see my sarcastic musings about the golf tournament, me making fun of Pierre Waialae swing and then him proceeding to shoot -9 today in my grill, maybe he's an insider as well.
Yo, I think you literally typed that and it went to like 3 inches on the next swing. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
That's usually what it does.
That's right.
I can't believe with his follow through. He is the worst driver I've ever seen, period. Like everything looks awful, but he just makes it work.
Hey, man.
So good for him.
What did he say? Jack said, swing your swing, man.
Yeah.
Swing your swing.
There you go. All right. So who's going to win the Sentry? It's Friday night.
Colin Morikawa.
Yeah. Yeah, because you said he was a COVID golfer, and I think that was the best lean anyone has ever had because there's no people at Kapalua. So congratulations for that take. So, no, I mean, listen, it's a bunch leaderboard. It's going to be pretty benign conditions down the rest of the way.
My God, but listen, you are so lucky, by the way. Decky choked away this back nine that everybody else was scoring on.
Yeah.
You are very lucky.
He did.
Very, very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the good things about Kapalua too is there's a lot of scoreable holes on the back nine. It always just seems like it delivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you see guys making a run, you think they're back in it, but then you remember there's, 4 other groups behind them. They can catch up.
Oh, and there's 2 eagle opportunities on the last fucking 4 holes.
I mean, there's probably like 7 eagle opportunities to be completely honest.
That's fair.
See, like every time I'm looking, I'm like, oh, he's chipping for eagle, putting for eagle. But
crazy.
No, it's
crazy.
Good. It's a lot of fun. All right, should we get to the Sony?
I guess.
You guess why?
I don't even know. Like, look, I think the field looks fine. You tell me I'm going to be upset with it, so I'm immediately coming into with I'm being upset.
Okay, well, let's get this up here. So, all right, so this is Waialae Country Club. A lot different than Kapalua. Kapalua was on the side of a mountain. Yeah. It's elevation changes, wide open. This is a very small, condensed piece of property. Designed by Seth Rayner back in 1927, has undergone a couple of renovations since then by Robert Trent Jones, mostly. Tom Doak has also done some work here as well. Pretty large greens, 7,100 square feet in average size for the greens, about 30 to 35 yards wide fairway. So again, we're going from football field wide fairways last week to relatively narrow ones, dead flat too. I think the change in elevation across the entire property is maybe only 5 feet. So I remember last week I was making a big deal about proximity buckets, about how Kapalua, he kind of got to adjust for it just because it's a 200-yard shot. It's probably playing more like 170. Here, when you look at the proximity buckets, if it's playing 150, it's 150. It's a dead flat piece of property. So
it's just like playing in Florida.
It's exactly like playing in Florida. I mean, less water. There's really only this one water hazard right here.
I just meant as far as like altitude goes.
Yeah. But unless you're Jordan Spieth, where I completely forgot that there was a creek over on 9, one of the easiest par 5s on the PGA Tour, and somehow he found that water. I think that was when he went from first on leader to DFL or first on leader to cut.
He went full Keegan
that year. He went a full Keegan.
Full Keegan.
So,
by the way,
before we get really into it,
you better hope Keegan doesn't fucking win.
Why?
Because I didn't bet him because of your snarky voice in my ear.
Oh, my snarky voice.
Yeah, your snarky voice. Yeah. Look, I put top 20. Cam can clip it, and the eye roll you gave was fucking amazing.
Well,
that's what my daughters do to me when I try to say something hip.
Whatever. If you look at my stat picks, they weren't all that great either. So I was just on a complete roll last week with Kapalua. But we're gonna do better this week with the Sony. Actually, my betting card's doing all right. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So, all right, before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, do you like this tournament? What do you think?
No, I feel like I don't really know why. I just feel like it's kind of a letdown from like the hype of the first one this week, the primetime golf. The course is so much prettier to look at that I'm looking at this week. So it's fine. The field, though, I will tell you, the field, I could be wrong. I feel like the field is stronger this week, though, which gives me a little hope that it might play a little better.
Yeah, I would say of the non-elevated ones, other than like Torrey and Phoenix, which don't count. Like those are basically elevated on its own. But of like the other, like the next tier below of like PGA Tour stops, I would say this one probably is one of the better ones for sure. It's a better field. Honestly, I like the golf course. I admire it. I like the routing of it. It's like I said, it's a very small piece probably, but Seth Rayner did a really good job laying it out. It just doesn't feel like you're going in the same direction over and over. You're going here and then going up and down. And, he did a really good job putting a cohesive golf course in a very small space. And maybe it's because my home course is kind of a narrow positional golf course where you don't need a ton of length. Maybe that's what's drawn me to this as well. you know, I like this tournament. I don't like it from the standpoint of I think of all the tournaments, this one has given me the most scar tissue over the years. Going down past leaderboard, especially since 2020, there was a tournament I forgot about that really caused me a lot of pain that we'll talk about a little later, but there are some very painful memories.
Is this Henley?
We'll get to him. Henley's involved. Henley seems like he's involved a lot in a lot of people's painful memories. But yes, Henley was involved. You
and that
were
brought
involved.
me joy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, you were involved in that situation, by the way, which we'll tell our new. By the way, we have a brand new audience we can tell that story to. You know, true. you getting done chastising the mushes of winners. Let's go. We'll go back in time and you know, put you on the hot seat for that one. But no, I like this tournament. I think the golf course is underrated. I'll show you a couple of holes that are pretty good, I feel like. So we'll go to the next slide here. So actually, before we do that, so you people my age might remember this game on N64. You probably played Waialae Country Club on True Golf Classics. So here's a couple of screenshots right there. Were you an N64 guy when you were growing up?
The best game ever invented was 007 GoldenEye. Period. End of story. The best game ever made. We would come home from middle school and we would play that game. Like, I would close my eyes and go to sleep as a kid, and I would picture myself running through the stack, and no one could be odd job because that was cheating. And you couldn't do the golden glove. That's it. But proximity mines in the stack, the best. Loved N64. Loved N64.
Yeah,
but I actually was a Sega guy. Like, I played Sega at the house, but a couple of my friends had the N64, and we go the only game we would play is GoldenEye.
Yep. I think that was everybody. Like, we would just all get together for sleepovers or just coming over on weekends. We would just play GoldenEye till like 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
My favorite level was Temple.
Oh, I like Temple.
Just the big layout. There's a lot of places you could snipe or just like camp out and just like fire rockets at people. You know, but there was some closed areas as well. You could throw a proximity mine. You know, they don't unexpected it. That was a good level. Yeah,
Stack was easily my favorite level. Stack was my favorite. Temple was good. I think Temple was probably my second favorite. But I remember you were one of those assholes who shot the rockets. That makes sense.
Oh, I mean, if you had it, might as well use it.
Just saying.
I was not the person though in Temple that remember the hidden alley where the body armor was.
Yes,
just camped out. I was not that person. Okay,
we've lost so much of our audience at this point. Let's keep going.
Yeah, do you know? There's probably a lot of people who are like, "What the hell is N64?"
I was going to say half the people don't even know what N64 is. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, let's actually get to this golf course. So
we're the first video game generation, you young bucks.
Yeah. So Seth Rayner, I mean, he doesn't have. I mean, he's got a lot of. Andy's going to talk probably about 30 minutes about Seth Rayner and CB McDonald. So, but they work together on a lot of great golf courses like Chicago Golf Club, Friars Club, or Fisher's Island. But on the PGA Tour, you've really only seen this course and the old white TPC, which is the old Greenbrier, which no longer exists. But you know, Seth Rayner has a lot of template holes, and this is one of them. The first hole at Waialae, which actually is the 10th hole for the members. This is the first one they play. This is the first. They flip the 9s for this tournament. This actually plays the par 5 for the members, but this is a road hole template. And what do I mean by that? Well, typically the road hole template, it wants you to play towards the more dangerous side off the tee. And here we see a bunker, which isn't in play anymore for these pros, but there's a bunker over the right. There's out of bounds over on the right here too, but it gives you a better angle into the green, a shorter approach shot, or you could bail out way left, but you give yourself a longer approach shot. You got to carry a bunker here. It's not as great of an angle. Kind of like the road hole where you got the hotel here. You could just bail out way left, but you got a longer approach shot. That's what we're seeing really right here. It's a very classic template for a longer par 4. This is one of the harder holes on the golf course. So you see it right here. I had some other holes I was going to show you, but we're kind of crunched for time. So we are going to move on after this. This is the 17th, though. This is the Redan hole. And I mean, if you listen to Andy's show, you probably know the Redan is, but if you don't, this is a mid-length par 3 slope from front to back, right to left. It's very narrow green as well. Tom Doak came in here a couple years ago and restored the Redan characteristics of this green. Guys complained a lot about this green because it was really firm when they first played. It's softened up over the years, but it plays along the water here. If you got a pin over on the right here, and if you end up missing your in the bunker, you're basically dead because the green slopes pretty hard from right to left here. It's very hard to get it close to the pin there. I like this hole coming down the stretch. It can provide some drama, especially you get some guys in the bunker, trying to get up and down. I forget who made a really good up and down here to win it. It might have been Siwoo a couple years ago. So, I like this hole down the stretch here.
Yeah. Was it Siwoo?
You look like you're about to say something.
Was it Siwoo?
Somebody made a really good up and down here to win it, or just save strokes. So I forget exactly who, but all right. And then we got 18 here. This is the par 5 18th. I like this hole. It's not all that flashy, but what I like about it is, it's a tough tee shot because, usually the fairway's running pretty firm. It's very easy to bounce the ball through the fairway into this bunker here or into the Bermuda rough. And at that point, you're basically laying up. You can't get to the green, or you try and just gouge out and get somewhere over here trying to get up and down. So you got to hit a really good tee shot. It reminds me of the par 4 18th at Southwind without the water over on the left. Kind of like the big boomerang shaped.
I can see that.
Yep, hole there. Narrow fairway. So the birdie rate is about 50%. So, 50-50 proposition. You're actually going to make a birdie here. We'll talk about some scar tissue I've had on this hole over the years. But I like this closing hole. They actually, though, so you can see the 10th hole over here. Guys were trying to actually hit their tee shots over on the 10th to take all of this out of play. So there's actually internal out of bounds.
Yeah.
Over here.
What was the other course they did on when Vic did that? Vic was trying
Riviera.
to go. Yep. Riviera.
Yes. Yep. So they actually put I think a giant scoreboard.
They did. It was
there.
A fucking billboard.
Yeah. Which I never really understood. We'll talk about it with Riviera. Maybe I'll say that take for them. But all right. So those are just some key holes. There's some other holes I like. I really like 10 and 11 over here. I like, 9 is a joke of a par 5. I think the birdie or better rate at the final round last year was 80%.
88. What did you say it was?
There's 80%.
Yeah, fucking ridiculous. It was just a gimme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. So it's kind of like, it's a lot of holes at Kapalua. Par is basically birdie at this point. So, all right. So let's go through the year. So obviously the outlier year is 2020. That was the year your boy Cam Smith won. And it was really cold. Right. Cold, low 70s. That
cold for Hawaii.
What's that?
It's cold for Hawaii.
Yeah, low 70s, rainy, soft, windy. We'll go through all the stats, but
I miss Cam Smith.
Yeah, I know you. Hey, listen, we're gonna do live podcast, buddy. We're gonna suffer through that.
It's not the same.
I know. Well, he's not the same. He is definitely not as good as what he used.
He lives probably less than 5 miles from me. He's got a giant fucking boat. He's perfectly goddamn happy.
Does he hit wedges off of it? I hope he does, because that would improve his ball striking.
I know a bunch of people on that same road, which I won't say, that have amazing putting greens in their backyard.
Makes sense.
Right on the river. It's fucking nuts. So nice.
What else do you do with all that money? You just make amazing putting greens in your backyard.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have too many kids. I don't have that amazing type of money. I'll go towards gymnastics and dance and all this other shit.
Yeah, and NHL parlays. So
listen, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. My betting budget versus my kids' budget is not even remotely close. I got a Ferrari in my driveway for what I fucking spent on my kids.
All right, fine. 3-ball parlays. That's what it really goes towards.
All right. That's right. 3-ball parlays. Love that.
There you go. All right, we're your motherfucking Akshay.
Motherfucking Akshay. Thanks for laying a duck today, you prick. And I even put him in a matchup against fucking Fitzpatrick. The least golfer I like on the entire tour. This cocksucker goes low today. Akshay can't find shit. Yet they're showing him on 18, chipping it close to go -3 for the tournament. Great. Thanks for showing me that. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty good at Bay Hill.
That'd be great at Bay Hill. But
not
we're
here.
not at Bay Hill, Steve, are we?
All right. Well, other than 2020, we're played over par. So I had a column from last week. This is the raw score under par. This is the adjusted for field strength score. So, but the raw score played 0.15 on over par 2020. Other than that, though, usually Waialae doesn't provide a lot of resistance. It's on the shorter side, big greens, the greens aren't all that undulated. The green side surrounds aren't all that difficult. There's a lot of short and mid iron shots. So, there's not a big penalty for missing fairways that we'll get to in a little bit. So overall, though, I mean, pretty easy scoring conditions. If it does get windy, it can get tough. There was one round, I think, in 2023 and 2024 where they got some sort of weather system coming through, played a little tougher today. Other than that, though, probably your average of like minus 1.9, minus 2.5 under par. You can score some birdies there. And as you can see, the rank of all PGA Tour golf courses, it's on the lower side every single year for average score. So, definitely a place, par 70, but you can score there. As far as the difficulty by category, again, other than 2020, off the tee, not all that difficult, not all that, daunting of tee shots. Yes, it's narrow, but everything's really right in front of you. There's some positional nature. You got to play a little bit with some of the dog legs, but as far as these guys hit it sometimes, usually you can just hit it right over the dog legs there. If you miss a fairway, really you just got to make sure you're not behind a palm tree or just have a really bad line in the Bermuda. So there's not really a lot of challenge off the tee. You can see that.
Is there a good lie in Bermuda?
What's that?
Is there a good lie in Bermuda?
Yeah, sometimes the ball can sit up. You saw that a little bit this week, where the ball, if it can roll right into it, but sometimes the ball sits up. Other times, just sinks to the bottom and kind of nests over it. So it's just kind of luck of the draw here.
Never ever had a good lie in Bermuda.
Well, I mean, that's you.
It's because I'm off the fairway most of the time.
There you go. As far as approach shots, though, very easy approach shots. In fact, in 2021, 2022 was one of the 5 easiest on the PGA Tour. Other years ranked 39 out of 45 as far as approach shots, 27 to 43. Again, the only year those were difficult was 2020.
Right.
We're ranked 6 out of 29 because it was really windy and it was very difficult conditions that year. Around the green, though, even 2020, it played pretty easy. Just not a lot of difficult greenside surrounds. Again, really big greens. The greenside bunkers aren't all that challenging. Not a lot of undulations of the green. So unless you're short-sided, you can get up and down pretty easily. You can also putt from a couple places back onto the green as well. That lowers the difficulty a lot at these places. Some of these greens have really wide mouths, and there's not a big run up to the green, so you can pull putter. So around the green, I know I went on my soapbox last week at Kapalua, which, you kind of see it this week. Like, guys, there's a lot of these shorter approach shots. You got to get up and down for birdie. I'm not going to be on that block this week.
You were on point with that because there's so many of these under 50-yard shots going on this week.
Especially on the back nine, and even with some of those par 5s too. Like, you see guys missing the greens, and you got to be like, all right, I got to get up and down here.
Yep, you got to get up and down for birdie. Would they bail out right, bail out left? Yeah, there's been a bunch of spots for that. So I think that was spot on, and I feel like we'll see certain people choke that away over the next 2 days.
I appreciate that. So we'll see if that we'll have to keep that in mind for next year when we handicap.
Yeah,
and then putting,
absolutely.
And then putting again, 2020, very difficult. Other than that, though, not very difficult greens to putt on overall. So how about just missed fairway? I made mention of it earlier. Not a big penalty for missing fairways overall, mostly because there just isn't a lot of opportunities to actually incur a penalty stroke. The only real place to do it is there's a lake between holes 2 and 3, which every single year you should schedule a text to get really upset about someone who hits in the water on 2, because you always do it. You're like, well, he's done. Every single year you do it. So, and that's on hole number 2. I mean, you have to hit a huge banana slice on 9 to hit it.
Have any of them not been done?
There. What's that?
Have any of them not been done?
There's probably a couple that you overreacted to.
I don't know. I believe I am correct on all of those texts. You can't banana slice it into the lake on a place where you can't get it to, and they do it, and they still win the tournament. Unless you're Tom Kim and you double bogey that one tournament. That's it.
Yeah. Well, other than that lake on between 2 and 3 or on 9, there's not a lot of opportunity to, or actually on 17, you can hit into some houses. That's an opportunity to incur penalty stroke. But otherwise, though, not a lot of penalty for missing fairway. There is a little bit of a penalty for missing the rough. Now, the one thing they did a couple years ago was they increased the rough length from 2.25 to 3 in an effort to try and toughen the golf course. It did it a little bit. You can see it in the rough penalty. You know, your score of if you're in the rough versus fairway, it did increase it a little bit. Not a whole lot, though, but it's still something.
Yeah, 10th of a stroke.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like, 18th out of 45 as far as incurring a penalty for hitting the rough, 17 out of 43 last year, 9 out of 38 in 2022. So, that is one place where you can shoot yourself in the foot, especially if it's low scoring conditions too.
Yeah.
So, but everywhere else though, non-rough penalty, like if you hit in a fairway bunker, you still get it to the green. It's not that all difficult. Penalty percentage pretty low, other than in 2020 when it was really windy. So, and then the driving statistics actually a little longer than I probably would think about Waialae. Like I think about a lot of shorter, accurate hitters. Not really the case. I mean, it's not tremendously long, but 291, 295 at sea level. It's not as short as what there's a lot shorter average driving distances at other golf courses here. Driving accuracy rates are about where I would expect. Pretty narrow fairways, 54%, 56%, 60%. In 2020, it actually had fairly high driving accuracy rates because the fairways are really soft. So, and I think the wind, because it really reduced how far guys are hitting it, ball hit the ground a little sooner, maybe short of some of these dog legs and stayed in the fairway. So that's one thing to maybe keep in mind if we get a little windy and some rain, that sobs at the fairways might be a little easier to hold fairways, than we saw in 2020. Approach statistics, usually high. Green and regulation rates from 2021 to 2023, it was in the 70%, 73.5%, 72%. Last year, round 1 got a lot of wind. Yeah. Other than that, the last 3 rounds, pretty easy. That's why it was below 70%. In 2020, 64%. So again, that's the outlier.
Same thing, wind.
Yeah.
Wind and rain and cold.
Yeah. But in most normal Waialae conditions, pretty easy shots from, under 150. Again, hitting to large, not terribly undulated greens, pretty inviting targets. Not a whole lot there's no real adversity around the green, like a water hazard or anything. So pretty easy shots from under 150, pretty easy shots from over 150, kind of like what we saw last week, Kapalua, but other than 2020, where it was one of the more difficult ones that year. So proximity buckets. And we'll talk about this a little later. This is one of, I think this, even though I've had some pretty close calls here, this is always one I struggle to handicap because there's such little correlation with a lot of skill sets that do well here, or try and predict year to year, like what matters in tournaments. I'll show you in a little bit. It's very different year to year as far as like some years off the tee matters more, some years putting matters more, some years approaches more. So it's very mixed.
That always drives me nuts when they put that. They're like, all right, here's how good they are against the field putting this week. Well, I'm like, well, this week is its own animal. You know what I mean? Like, Hideki is not the best putter of these people. So I don't know.
So what I mean more by that is some years putting is more impactful towards your total strokes gained. Like you're able to separate yourself more from everybody else if you putt better. You kind of see in the leaderboards. Some other years, it doesn't matter at all, though.
Right. So that's why. So how do you quantify? So how do you quantify what causes that, and how do you predict that? It's very difficult.
Well, that's the thing, and when it's different year to year, it's hard to do. Like at Kapalua, most years the better you putt it, like it's more impactful than other PGA Tour venues. To do it. So to be like, all right, if I don't really want to target a really horrible putter because the likelihood he's going to have a great putting week is smaller over 4 rounds. I mean, it hasn't played out so far this tournament, but maybe it will soon.
It's going to level out. I'm telling you, it's going to level out.
But the one thing about Waialae, though, that's pretty consistent, and I love seeing proximity buckets right here, is just down the line consistency of high volume shots and not like sporadic. Like sometimes you look at these proximity buckets and be like, all right, there's a high volume from 100 to 125. And there's a high volume from like 200 to 225. Well, like those are two different kind of profile of guys, like, you know, who might be good at both. Here, high volume from 125 all the way up to like 225.
You know what that is? It's Keegan territory, sir.
Oh, we're shoehorning him in already.
Let's go. Shoehorning. No, you didn't let me talk about the first one, and he's in 4th place.
Do you remember how mad I got at you at like a Phoenix Open preview we did where you kept interrupting me talking about Keegan?
Where Paulie texted both of us and was like, I don't know if I can listen anymore, guys.
We almost broke up. I'm just kidding. We didn't almost break up. So, but I was legitimately like annoyed. I'm like, can you just shut the fuck up about Keegan?
Yeah, Keegan's the best.
So, regardless, though, high volume of shots between 125 and 225. About 80% of your shots come from this range. Yeah. So, like, I love seeing that. It makes it very easy to like put stats in your model of like just pick all these ranges, because a lot of times like you'll see in a model like it's a 50-yard range, and here it's like it's very easy to like do that in your model. So love seeing that, and it's consistent pretty much every single year. So that's something that definitely weigh heavily is, you know, short to mid iron game this week. Not a lot of long game. Nothing like last week with Capper with like under 100 yards, like these flip.
So you consider 175 to 200 fucking short iron?
I mean, for a lot of these guys, I mean, like mid iron.
Mid iron. Okay.
Yeah, but like a lot of these guys from 175 are hitting what, 8 iron? It's a different animal than us. I mean, you know, you step up to the box at 143 and hit an 8 iron for an ace.
I know. 147.
All right, 147. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, I mean, they're hit. I think like a 175 shot for most guys is like
that's true.
Yeah,
man, it's so funny when I'm watching golf and they're doing that and they tell me the club these are like they're using what? Like JT today came out, he had like 220 to the front and he had an iron in his hand, and I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this today. Like we really freely use the term long iron shots.
Yeah.
But like these guys are hitting from 200, which I would consider a long iron shot.
Fuck yeah.
Like a 6 iron.
I'm using a rescue. I ain't using no fucking iron at 200. I'm 41 years old.
That's middle of the bag club. I think like, all right, like 3 iron. Like that's a long approach for these guys. Like,
yeah.
You know,
I carry a 4 iron
miles
in
the air.
Yeah, I carry a 4 iron in my bag to get out of the wood.
Anyways, high volume of shots between 125 and 225 this week. So very useful proximity buckets. Around the green statistics, again, like I told you, not very challenging, and there really is not anything challenging anywhere. From the fairway, even though it's Bermuda, pretty easy compared to other PGA Tour venues. Not a whole lot of adversity, even from the rough. From a bunker, these bunkers are relatively shallow, not all that difficult to get out of. So even the year in 2020, you know, it was a little harder to get up and down from the rough, but otherwise, though, pretty comparable every single year. Excuse me. So, I mean, I'm not going to be looking a ton at around the green play this year. Putting.
Did you say 43rd to 43rd?
For yes. I wonder if Jason Kokrak was good here.
Oh, he could be.
He could be. Very easy bunkers. Although it could go the other way. He was so bad out of bunkers that, you know, it really cost him.
Kokrak. I missed.
I know. Another one of your guys that left. Again,
all my fucking guys went to live, dude. All my guys.
Yeah, you tend to love guys that leave you. So, all right. And putting wise,
Steve, what are you trying to say?
I don't know. So, all right. And putting wise, it's a little bit of a mixed bag every single year as far as like difficulty. Some years it's above average difficulty from like 5 to 15 feet. Some years really easy. Like, I don't really know how to explain that. It might be just field mix, could be some weather conditions. Seemed like when it's really windy, though, it can be really tough to putt in these greens. So that's probably something to keep in mind.
Yes. I mean, that's what checks out. Like, if you look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, so I guess like, all right. So in 2024 and 2023, there was a little bit of wind in the tournament. And then
Yeah.
in 2022, 2021, no wind, a lot easier. 2020, a lot of wind. So yeah, it's probably just wind dependent at that point.
Yeah, that's it.
So, okay. Now, I didn't include this slide last week because we were running a little bit out of time, but I think this is a useful list of correlated golf courses. And it just seems like at Waialae, first of all, there's a pretty high correlation of course history to success here. Guys who tend to play pretty well at Waialae tend to do it over and over. So I'm going to weigh course history a little more this week. But if you look at some of the correlated golf courses like Colonial, Harbor Town, Sea Island, Southwind, like Innisbrook, like there's definitely a profile of guys and a stereotype of guys that you usually think of do well there.
I guess I feel like you feel like Innisbrook and Harbor Town are the same. I feel like Innisbrook is way harder than fucking Harbor Town.
Well, no, just like as far as like a profile of guys who would do well there.
All right,
like you get the same guys do pretty well at these places over and over. Okay. You know, so like none of these places are really like driving contests, I would say.
No,
you know, it's ball striking contests.
You think Innisbrook? So, I'm stuck on Innisbrook. Let me get off Innisbrook. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean Innisbrook's more of a long iron contest, but like that's one where you're not hitting driver a ton.
No, because the water fucking out on every goddamn corner.
Yeah, or like, you know, Harbor Town's on the shorter side, Sea Island, Austin Country Club, that's a good comp because Waialae doesn't really have a stereotype of guy who would do well here. Same thing at Austin, like seems like everybody can really show up and do well.
Twin Cities.
Summerlin, Hamilton Golf and Country Club. So I really like this list. So I think this is pretty useful to really put in a model. Like if you're looking for comp courses. Yeah, that one's a little weird. Because that one's, you know, that has some Kapalua qualities of really wide open, some elevation changes. I can't
remember who wins the tournament, Steve, but I remember what golf courses. Look what you've done to me. I remember golf courses and not golfers.
Yeah. So what I mentioned earlier, by the way, like, so there's two things. There's a predictive model of like if you look at a course fit model, like who's expected to do well there, and then you had the in tournament stuff, like how you did in the tournament predicted about how you did. So one of the frustrating things about Waialae is that there's a very low correlation almost every single skill set as far as like who's expected to do well. So off the tee, inaccurate bomber can do well here. A short accurate guy can do well here. It just doesn't matter. Yeah. So that's frustrating sometimes. Approach play. You know, it's still pretty predictive just because it's the most predictive metric to success on the PGA Tour. But it's below average predictability. So like an Andrew Putnam can show up here and just boot his way around the golf course and still be fine. Yeah. You see him a couple times, some of these leaderboards, like some of the strokes gains stats on him, you're going to laugh. But like a guy like that, putting is significantly below average. Like you've seen bad putters do well here. You've seen good putters do well here. So that's frustrating. The only thing that really has a slightly above average correlation is around the green play, which, as we showed, is really easy around here. Yep. And I'm going to show you in a little bit, really does not translate to how you do in the tournament. Okay. So it doesn't help you. All right. So, and if we get to that, here's where we're going to start talking about trauma. Last year. You need to be nice, by the way.
I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. I'll be nice.
The man has
you should have given me a warning.
The man has passed, but Grayson Murray broke a lot of hearts last year. And I was on Keegan. Were you on Keegan last year?
Yes, you know I was on fucking Keegan last year.
The man was tied for the lead. I'm
aware.
Going that par 5.
Yep. Chunked it
all
left.
He had to do was birdie it. And he hit he hit a horrible drive in regulation.
Oh yeah, well I was thinking of overtime. Sorry.
No. Well, he did it again. He actually hit a perfect drive in the playoff.
And then chunked it left. Yeah,
he hit a horrible approach shot. But then you also have Ben On, who missed a 3-footer to extend the playoff.
Yeah.
A lot of guys were on Ben On that week.
More people were on Ben On than were on Keegan.
In fact, there was a lot of people probably on Keegan and Ben On as well.
Yeah.
So that's double pain. Yeah. But also lost in this tournament, and we'll get to him again in a little bit. Russell Henley, I think, had the lead on the back nine and choked it again last year. But that was lost in a lot of the the hoopla around what happened in the playoff there. Do you remember what happened to Carl Yuan, by the way?
Did China kill him?
No. No, China did not kill him. Do you remember the rules controversy with Carl Yuan?
Oh, yeah. What was that? I completely forgot.
So on 18, which is bullshit. Like I showed you the uninfrastructured.
Yeah.
There's grandstands all the way down the right side. He hits it into the grandstand, and it's on the roof, like just lost.
Relief.
But they tell him, well, it's probably on the roof, so we're going to give you a free drop here.
Free drop?
Unbelievable.
Burns did that today on fucking 18.
Oh, he backboarded it?
Fucking flailed it because he didn't have the right angle to it. He just bombed it fucking right, hit it into the grandstands. It kicked left and got to the fucking green and he birdied. Unbelievable.
Can't wait to...
There should be a fucking penalty for hitting the grandstands. That should be written into the rules. You hit a grandstand, penalty.
I can't wait when we talk about Valero and we bring up what happened.
Oh God, fucking don't tell me. I don't want to talk about that yet. Why? Why are you doing this to me? It's 11 o'clock.
I have a long memory and I love making you upset at 11:19 on a Friday. So, but anyways, though, so you look at this leaderboard overall, you can kind of see here, this is a good example of just different walks of life off the tee. You got some really long hitters like Ben On, Taylor Pendrith,
walks of life.
Carl Yuan. You got some really short hitters here, just a big variety as well. Same thing with like accuracy. You had a bunch of guys who hit a lot of fairways, a lot of guys that didn't hit a lot of fairways. It just didn't matter a whole lot. So,
Vaughn top 10 last year, huh?
He did top 10. You got some guys who did really well with their irons in tournament, but some okay guys that didn't really kill you. You had some guys who were pretty good around the greens, some guys who weren't. It just the only thing that really seemed like it was a significant trend last year was just everybody putt well in the top 10. It was basically a putting contest last year.
Yeah.
So, I got these correlation strengths down here, significantly above average. Some of the PGA Tour golf course in putting that week. Even though it doesn't say it here, guys who drove it pretty good last year generally did the best. Top 10 doesn't reflect it, but it probably shows up as you go down the leaderboard. But approach play, pretty variable as far as how you hit it with your approach shots compared to the average PGA Tour golf course. And then around the green, like it just didn't really matter a whole lot to your total strokes gained or just how you did. Like you could overcome it pretty easily.
I forgot this was that tournament last year.
Yeah. 2023. I barely remember this tournament. Probably I didn't have really anybody in the mix, but Siwoo won. Mostly because Hayden Buckley choked it away.
Isn't this when we tipped Moonoff off the fucking him?
No, that was Amex.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
2023 was a while ago.
I know. Well, I think this was 2021. He won Amex, but no, neither of us were on Siwoo that week.
No,
I can't remember who I was on. I barely remember this tournament. I think it was NFL playoff time. I didn't have anybody in the mix, so I think I just checked out.
I certainly was not in 2023. That's for goddamn sure. Neither were you in the playoff mix talking about 2023.
But I mean, kind of an ugly leaderboard. You got Siwoo winning, Hayden Buckley second, Chris Kirk third, Andrew Putnam fourth, David Lipsky, Ben Taylor, Aaron Baddeley, Nate Lashley.
Look, Nick Taylor's on there again.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Taylor's kind of fallen off a map, but Nick Taylor's on there.
Did he?
Yeah, he's playing Kapalua. And actually, I think there's
he had a good Thursday.
So maybe we can talk about this on Tuesday. There was a trend of guys played Kapalua and then won, and then last year Grayson broke that trend.
Yeah.
So, but let's go down this correlation in strokes gained though. So I in 2024 there was a higher than average correlation to how well you did off the tee compared to how you did in tournament. In 2023, it was significantly below average, like way below average. It didn't really matter. Like look at how you did off the tee in this top 10.
Yeah.
But the only one who actually drove it really good was Hayden Buckley. Everybody else kind of stunk.
Yeah.
So, as far as distance and accuracy, about average. Approach play about average, although there's a couple guys that hit it pretty well. Again, around the green, not important in tournament, even though it's a predictive stat, apparently, to do well here. Not important in tournament. Guys generally putt pretty well and, did well in this tournament, though. And now we get to this leaderboard. 2022. Yeah, you're smiling. This is why you watch the YouTube, by the way. You got a shit grin on your face. So let's give some backstory here. Let's go way back in time. So you said some not nice things about Russell Henley before the tournament.
Correct.
You faded him very hard.
Very hard.
And Henley got off to a really good start. And, being the mature adult you are, what did you do? Well, you lashed out. And the way you decided to lash out was texting me starting on Thursday night that Russell Henley's going to win the tournament.
Yeah. You're forgetting a key point on a player I had.
Yes. And by the way, the player you bet was
Hideki.
Yeah. But listen, I mean, Henley was pretty strong throughout the weekend, but you just kept chopping that tree. You kept sending all of these texts saying Henley's got it wrapped up. Henley's got it in the bag. Lock Henley. Should I bet Henley minus 800 all weekend? And then I actually recorded a solo pod of the Amex preview during the Sony.
Yeah.
And Russell Henley went to the back nine with a 5-stroke lead. And then you finally sent another text message as I'm doing the show. I don't know why you didn't join me, but you just apparently watching the tournament.
I probably had some fucking kid thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
You'll see, Steve. Your kids aren't doing stuff yet. Once your kids start doing stuff, your life is over. All you're doing is driving your kids to things.
What are you talking about? My kids went to a goddamn magic show today.
That's not what I mean, buddy. I'm telling you, you're gonna have softball, volleyball, fucking dance, cheer, gymnastics, and your life is fucking over.
Okay.
And any dad who is listening here knows you played dad taxi from years 8 or 7 on. Forget about it.
All right. Well, continuing the story, Russell Henley goes to the back nine with a 5-stroke lead, and then you sent the death blow. Congrats. And then we all knew what happened after that. Hideki hit every single putt. So this is the most infuriating part, by the way. Hideki Matsuyama not only led the field in stroke gained putting, he did it on fucking Bermuda.
No,
like not the tip eagle stuff, like the real grainy Bermuda.
The real shit. Yep.
Like he didn't even hit the ball that good. Like he only came 0.65 strokes with the approach shots.
That 3 wood is still one of the most pretty shots I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Yeah, like as soon as they were tied going to the 18th, I knew like Henley was dead. At that point, it didn't matter. I'd have to go back in my pain rankings. I think that's
top 5.
Well, you know what? Rory at the U.S. Open might have supplanted that one because of the stakes and just.
You talking about LACC?
No, Pinehurst.
Oh, we forget which majors he keeps choking away.
Yeah, LACC that didn't make the list.
You were upset, but you couldn't.
I was upset.
You couldn't even be mad at me because I had just had a heart attack, and I was rooting against him, and you couldn't be mad.
I was upset, but I've been more upset after LACC. This was one of the really upset times. I think it's number 2. I'd have to go look at the list. But anyways, though, so other than the pain that happened, so in this tournament, though, as far as how you did, guys who drove it really good did pretty well in this tournament. That was different than the prior year.
Of course.
Again, approach play pretty below average as far as how you did. So year to year, though, it really varies as far as what's important in tournament. So you have a predictive course fit model that's not helpful. Nothing's predictive. And then you have different skill sets year to year that are more important than the others. Like there's nothing consistent. It can be a nightmare to try and handicap.
You know what you need? What
do I need?
You need your eyeball test. Gut and eyeball test.
That's what then that would I wish I had it because then I would have bet Russell Henley. This guy doesn't have it.
No, he does not. He's a fucking loser.
He was that day.
He's still a
loser.
loser.
Was.
He still stinks.
Yeah. All right. So back to this. So given that in mind, I made this last night. I still can tweak with this. My overly complicated,
Oh,
excuse me,
Lord
Twitter
have
Steve
mercy.
rabbit hole. So
I love you so much, Steve. Steve, you are the best.
Yeah. So what I am doing different than last week, I weighted recent form a little more than last week. I think I went back too far.
No. How far did you go? What is your
last year I went back too far because I was trying to reestablish everybody's baseline. This one I'm going this last 6 months. Well, because there's a lot of guys that played in the fall. So a lot more recent there. I also
should be factored in recent form in golf. Steve, you golf. You know, it's a feel thing. It's a rhythm thing. Like when you got it, you got it. You have to factor that in.
No, I know. I with Kapalua, I just felt like because a lot of these top players hadn't played since like September, like I felt like I had to go back a lot farther. Like everything kind of resets. With a lot of these guys, they played 7 events in the fall. Yeah. So yeah, it's like 2 months. It's like a month and a half ago, but I want to capture most of that data because I think that's the most important. So I weighed that a little heavier this year. I also weighed course history a little heavier this year because there's guys who usually play pretty well. While I tend to do that more often. Weighed the comp course a little more because I just think, given the list I gave you, that's probably the profile player I want to target this week.
Yep.
And then I weighed approach play a lot heavier, especially from some of these proximity ranges. That was really the one thing I saw of like consistency year to year, like just high volume of shots between 125 and 225.
Yep.
And I just think about the guys who generally have done pretty well here. It's just a ball striker's second shot golf course. So. Yep. Wade putting a lot less this year than other years. Wade around the green a lot less too, because it just didn't matter nearly as much as what did Kapalua. So, but now I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Oh no!
So this model right here is like a typical Sony Open.
Okay.
But this is the weather forecast next week.
I'm gonna blow the screen up.
So now this has gone back and forth, by the way. This has changed this changed 50
Friday.
Times. Well, this has changed 50 times. But there is a threat. Remember that 2020 tournament?
Oh, yeah.
I just glossed over.
Yeah.
This is identical weather to that 2020 tournament. Relatively cool. You got some rain, wind. And that tournament played.
What island is this on?
It's in Honolulu. I don't know what island was in Honolulu.
Right. Okay? You don't have to roll your eyes. I'm just asking a question because my birth mom was out there. I can ask her what the weather is like out there.
Well, I mean, they've gotten some rain recently.
Yeah.
But this is next week. So it's the same weather that you got back in 2020. Okay. And as we went through all the different years, played way harder. As far as green regulation rates were down. A lot harder approach shots, harder to putt on. Okay. So, given that this is a threat, now we got to look at the 2020 leaderboard. And here it is. I didn't want to go back this far because this also brought back some traumatic memories. I bet Webb Simpson this week. And Webb Simpson came on the tee on 18 again, a place of just a lot of pain for me, needing a birdie to get a playoff. And guess what? He didn't fucking do it. Because I bet on guys who can't birdie 18 that for the win. That's what I do here. Oh. Regardless, though.
Steele.
Yeah.
Graham McDowell. Great restaurant. Love Nona Blue.
Yeah. So if you go through this, the one thing I noticed is the other 3 tournaments I had, like in tournament iron play, didn't really matter as much as other PGA Tour golf courses. In 2020 mattered more.
Okay.
In tough conditions in Waialae, you want your ball strikers.
Okay.
Other than Cam Smith, who somehow lost strokes in approach and won the tournament because he gained
Cam Smith is a great ball striker.
Well, not in this tournament. He lost strokes to the field.
That's fine, but he's a great ball striker.
But everybody else, like Brennan
Cam Smith, he wasn't. Well, he was a pup. Okay,
but like this leaderboard was full of like Brennan Steele, good ball striker. Webb Simpson, Kisner, McDowell,
Palmer outside of Texas somehow. Yeah, Ted Potter Jr.
Ted Potter Jr.
Oh, you're
making an appearance here.
Your boy.
I have
Bohog.
never bet Ted Potter.
No. Bohog.
Oh, Bohog?
Yeah.
I was very sad he didn't make it in the lid, by the way.
Yeah, I'm aware. You somehow love wasting money on that asshole.
I did for a couple of years. So from this, though, it seemed like there was a higher importance on iron play in tournament. Everything else really didn't matter. Tough driving conditions, putting. You couldn't separate yourself here. So I ended up making a bizarro Sony Open 2020 model just in case we get bad weather.
All right.
So I show you just some of the things I changed here. Obviously, all the stat conditions of like easy now go to average and difficult.
Okay.
I weighed iron play more than I did in the previous model. I weighed around the green a little more because guys are missing greens a little more than other years. I weighed putting a little less. I weighed off the tee a lot less. So that's the biggest difference overall if we get really bad weather.
So what the
now I got like 5 days to tinker and think about it, and the weather can change.
Yeah, but what did this model spit out?
Well, the thing is, when I did this last night, I didn't have the Sony Open field, so I don't have that on me. So,
well, you know where you can get that
at the Rabbit Hole
channel. Oh no! You can get yours at the Discord channel because I know Andy's setting up your model at the Rabbit Hole.
Yes, you can get it there,
25% off. But
yep, and I believe Andy has already posted his model because he is just as insane as I am.
Yep, you guys
are the stuff
insane Friday the night before, but yeah, come find it at the DFS in our Discord channel. And I really think Andy was already. I think he was talking to Noonan, and he's going to get your model posted at the Rabbit Hole every week now, starting hopefully next week.
That would be nice. So that's one thing to keep in mind in the next couple of days. Watch the weather report, because the moral of the story is there is a very clear way of how the Sony Open usually plays. Pretty easy conditions. But it can turn really mean if the weather gets like this, and you're going to want to change your model. So stay tuned.
Love it.
But overall, though, for this week, when I'm valuing the most, definitely proximity buckets from the short to mid iron game, valuing iron play a lot more than I did last week, valuing putting a lot less than what I did last week, even though, you tend to see pretty good, well, I shouldn't say that because
it'll be fine. Good putters.
I shouldn't say that, but I'm valuing putting a lot less than last week. I'm valuing around the green a lot less. Iron play really a lot more. I'm valuing course history a lot more, valuing a little more recency and form than I did last week. That's the biggest changes to the model, and we'll see what it spits out on Tuesday, and hopefully get a little clarity on the weather report.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Love it. Do a normal betting show on Tuesday?
Normal betting show on Tuesday. Going forward, we will have the normal Sunday, Tuesday schedule. Unless something comes up, we appreciate everybody's flexibility with our streams, with life going on. But yeah, looking forward to getting back from the link with hopefully securing a top 2 pick, the Giants, and then talking shop with you about the Sony Open on Tuesday.
Well, I hope on Tuesday I'm not in prison for driving up the Foxborough and murdering everybody for screwing up the first round pick and keeping Gerard Mayo on staff. And look, we still got Wendy's live. Wendy's live for our outright. Right, we still got some
technically, but we know that's not happening.
I know it's not going to happen, but it's still technically left. So I got Vegas, I got Keegan top 20. So Heath's bets are dead. So I'm gonna need Wyndham to pull all his villain and go see his psychologist, and so bring this one home.
Okay. Yeah. Harry Hall's still sticking around for me for positional. Jason Days, he could have a big round. Cantlay's doing his normal thing where he's out of it. And
Day, what a great call. By the way, I'm betting Day next week.
Is he in the field?
I would assume so. Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know. I can't really remember him ever playing really a Sony Open.
Pretty sure I saw his name.
Okay. All right. Well, if he's in the field, he's in the field.
But either way, I put him in one of my DraftKings lineups because of yours, and he's playing well. But the rest of my picks are shit, so it doesn't matter.
Well, there you go.
Other than that, listen, come find Steve in the Discord. Subscribe to YouTube, and go be an insider, man. Find out a bunch of sharp guys at DFS, and have a good weekend. Let's go Wyndham Clark, right? That's the best live one we got left, Steve.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's go, Windy.